Hello, everyone. This is Noah Villaverde, host of Blank Green Canvas. And before I introduce to you the newest episode of the podcast, in which me and my friend John Maffeo discuss the last two episodes of WandaVision, I just wanted to let you know that in the last 2 weeks, I had a bit of an incident that occurred in which I had a cooking accident in which I partially burned my left hand and my face. Then, thankfully, I've been in recovery in the last 2 weeks. As you could tell, my face is still a little bit red, but it's still recovering, and my left hand is also still healing from the incident. But I just wanted to thank everybody who have sent their well wishes of my speedy recovery after the incident, and also for continuing to support the Blank Green Canvas show through YouTube and through the Anchor podcast. I can't thank you enough. And also, one quick warning in regards to this episode that you are about to enjoy. I have recorded this episode through Zoom in a hotel Wi-Fi connection. So, as you may know, if many of you have been to hotels, the Wi-Fi in hotels isn't always the most reliable. So, the call that we had a few moments of interruptions and lags, if you will, which can be really annoying sometimes, but in a way, it kind of made sense given this scenario that we're in. But just bear with us in that, and if you could bear with that, you will definitely enjoy this quick discussion me and John had in regards to the last two episodes of WandaVision. And yeah, so once again, thank you for your support for everything, and I hope you enjoy this newest episode of the Blank Green Canvas podcast. Hey everyone, this is Noah Villaverde, host of Blank Green Canvas. We had a bit of a technical difficulty when we were trying to record our video because my hotel connection and the Wi-Fi sucks. So there's that. But thankfully, we're back on Zoom and with a new episode for the Blank Green Canvas podcast. And with me, I'm joined once again by John Maffeo. How have you been, John?
Hello, Noah. Hello, everybody. I've been doing okay. It's been a little hectic here. I'm getting ready to move out for the first time with my girlfriend, and it's snowing in New York. And it started snowing a little bit earlier than the meteorologists were expecting, so we might get a lot. Uh, I like snow, but at the same time, snow can be a real pain in the ass. So hopefully we don't get too much snow. But I'm not gonna lie, seeing it does bring a little bit of happy feelings inside my heart.
Yeah, that's cool. I saw snow back in November. I went with a couple friends of mine. We went to Utah for the weekend, and we got a chance to, just spend some time in the mountains, and it was really nice. It was really nice, like seeing the snow out there. And lately
That
here in
sounds awesome.
Fresno, yeah, lately in Fresno, it's been raining quite a bit. It stopped raining about 2 days ago, but when you combine rain and the freezing cold here, it's a lot. It's a lot to deal with,
Yeah.
and yeah. But obviously,
Using
we
cold
missed a
water.
week.
No.
Yeah, indeed. We missed a week because I
Mhm.
had a bit of an incident, but thankfully I'm recovering from that incident, and now we're back with two new episodes of WandaVision that we're going to catch up on in this discussion. We're going to briefly talk about episode 3, now in color, and then we're going to go talk more in depth about episode 4, which is called "And We Interrupt Your Regularly Scheduled Programming," basically, or "We Interrupt This Program," which is, I love the titles for these episodes. You know, so we're gonna
Yeah,
start
it's a
off
cool it's a
with
cool title.
yes, indeed. Oh, and by the way, guys, if you're watching this or if you're listening to this, you might see a bit of a delay because of our internet connections are pretty wonky a bit. So bear with us for that. But as we move on, we're gonna talk about Now in Color, episode 3, which is the 1970s tribute to television and sitcoms, and seeing uh, these characters that we love, Wanda and Vision, living their lives. Like Wanda's pregnant in this episode, and it's all 1970s. I love 1970s aesthetics, the wardrobe choices. I just love seeing Vision when he's in his proper Vision look, wear human clothes. There's just something really amusing to me about that, and the way it expands the world and what's really going on really intrigued me, especially with the last few minutes of the episode. So, John, I just got to ask, what did you think of episode 3, Now in Color, for WandaVision?
I pretty much echo everything you said, where it was just I'm in tune with the story, and you do get a little bit more of a nugget of what's going on leading into the fourth episode at the end. But I like seeing the visual aesthetics of what they did to create this 70s set when it comes to the interior, the furnishing, the backdrops on the outside to create like this outdoor view, the Technicolor, the costume design, all that. And I do really like how they really lead into the episode 4 with Monica Rambeau mentioning Ultron, which is kind of like this mic drop moment where if you're watching the show and you're waiting for something to happen, like that really involves the MCU more, that's kind of the big name drop that kind of insinuates that there's more going on here. And if you're waiting for it to happen, it's like an oh shit moment. And then we
Oh
don't see what
yeah.
happens really to Monica Rambeau until the very, very end, that leading into episode 4. But I enjoyed it. It's a fun episode leading into the big exposition drop that we get in 4.
Yes, indeed. And what I got chills the moment. It starts when after Wanda gave birth to her twins, she's talking to Geraldine about how she was a twin herself, and she even name dropped her brother Pietro, uh,
Hmm.
Quicksilver. And first off, like, do you think we're gonna see him in this season?
Um, so I've heard things. I haven't seen anything for real, but I've heard rumors rumbling that we might see him, but it might not be the one we're thinking.
Yeah, I've heard
If
that
you
rumor
catch my
too,
drift.
and yeah, and I'm not gonna say in regards to what details about that rumor that you and I may know, because I don't want to necessarily spoil it for those who want to be surprised about what may come and may not be aware of what may or may not be leaks. But that does sound
Mhm.
interesting to me if that is definitely the case, especially given how this series is supposed to lead into certain things regarding the multiverse, possibly.
Yep.
That might give it away a little bit, honestly.
It may be.
Yeah, it may just a little bit, but we're not going to be explicit with the detail.
Mhm.
But like when that happened, and then when Geraldine came in and said he was killed by Ultron, I got so hyped. I was like, oh man, what's coming? And then the revelation of what happens to Geraldine, who we now know is Monica Rambeau, it got me so hyped for the next episode. That's the thing about the whole Disney Plus weekly release schedule. Whenever an episode ends, I'm more excited to see what comes next. But in a way, I'm thankful that it's weekly because it makes it more exciting. The
It
hype and
does.
the discussion goes on longer. So that was episode 3, Now in Color, which we both found amusing. Now let's talk about like the real meat and potatoes of this discussion, which is episode 4, We Interrupt This Program, which is definitely kind of a departure from the first 3 episodes because it actually shows us what's going on.
Uh-oh, Wanda's interfering with us again.
Indeed, yeah. It even showed. Yeah, that is Wanda. We'll just blame it on Wanda. It showed for a moment that our
Yeah,
internet connection kind of delayed for a second. But let's talk about that episode though. So it begins actually a little bit before what we saw from the first 3 episodes take place. It actually begins the moment when Hulk uses their own Infinity Gauntlet to snap everybody back to life, and it shows us what happens when people
yep.
are reverse blipped, which was really fascinating to see. I loved
And
this opening
it's really
sequence. It
cool.
got me
It's
so hyped.
awesome looking.
Yeah, and the first scene we see what happened to Monica. So it turns out that Monica was one of the people that disappeared from the snap, and then she was actually in the hospital because her mom, Maria Rambo, Carol Danvers' best friend back in the day, she she had cancer, and unfortunately, during the 5 years after Thanos snapped, she died of her cancer, which was a
Yeah.
really that was a big surprise to me. That hurt to hear, you know.
They did a great job of capturing like the chaos in the moment of her finding out this information, like and what everybody else running around trying to figure out what's happening in a hospital where people are just
Indeed.
appearing literally.
Yeah, and it's cool because when you're watching that scene, you have to remember in the background, somewhere else, far off from where this hospital is, our surviving Avengers are dealing with the damage that Thanos is about to unleash. So it's
Hmm.
kind of fun to see what's going on from a different perspective than what we know.
Yeah, simultaneously.
Yeah, so this is how we are reintroduced to Monica Rambeau. As people may know, she is the daughter of Maria Rambeau from Captain Marvel, and she works for Sword. So she returns to Sword, and then she ends up going to Westview, this town that turns out not to actually exist. And over there, she meets with Randall Park's character, Jimmy Woo, which I was delighted to see.
He's always cool to see. He always has like this thing about him. Like his acting chops are really fun.
Yeah, if Jimmy Woo, of course, he appeared in Ant-Man and the Wasp, and he was a fun addition to that cast. And what I found interesting about this episode, John, is how it found a way to be a bit of an ambitious crossover, albeit with very tertiary characters from different aspects of the MCU. Because
Hmm.
obviously we have grown-up Monica Rambeau, we have Jimmy Woo, so we have Captain Marvel and Ant-Man, and then another character makes a return, a tertiary character, Kat Dennings from Thor, which was an
Yeah, we
interesting
haven't seen her since
choice to bring back.
2013.
Yeah, it's been a long time, and obviously the MCU kind of abandoned those first two Thor
The
movies.
servers again.
Oh yeah, same. It happened to me too, Wanda. Yeah, but like obviously they kind of abandoned Kat Dennings and Stellan Skarsgård for that matter after the second Thor movie.
Yeah,
Although it
completely.
looks like they're although it looks like they're trying to bring elements of that back with Thor: Love and Thunder, but that's another discussion for another time. But they found a way to
Yeah,
combine these three different films within the MCU and bring these old supporting characters back in a way that feels cohesive and fun. Like seeing how her name's Darcy, right? That's her character's name.
yeah, you're.
Yeah, Darcy. Bringing her
Mhm.
back and her witnessing the actual sitcom that is going on with Wanda, it's really fascinating to see. And it turns out that she was the one watching the episode, like at the end of the first episode, because that big zoom out of the credits from the first episode of the show, it goes to show like, wait, what's going on? This is Sword, and it turns out it's Kat Dennings watching it.
Yeah, with her little Lay's chips.
Lace chips. I love that little bit that she had with Jimmy Woo when they're watching the episode where Wanda gives birth and she's mentioning how like if he wanted a chip but he thought he was talking about kids and then he just goes on a tangent about
Yeah.
wanting kids. Like but yeah, this episode overall, like what did you think just as a whole, like this episode?
I see a lot of people complaining about it, how it seems like a giant expedition dump, but I think it's changed from what we've been seeing for the past 3 episodes. And it kind of, I don't know, I feel like as a viewer, when you want to pace out the show, so even if you're watching binge or watching week to week, like you're getting a new flavor and you're getting more of a piece of the world. And this one just kind of like throws everything on just who's watching the show. Here's what we know. You kind of you start to figure out the puzzle pieces are coming together. I think it's a fun way of bridging together with these characters who we haven't seen in years, but characters that you wouldn't expect to really be involved in this, and it kind of in a cool way, the movies and revisit it. But I think it's cool being introduced to places that's really just a town that wanted school, you know.
Yeah, man, I agree.
It's
Yeah, our
a lot of
connection.
fun MCU kind of. Oh no,
Oh,
Wanda,
Wanda.
please, Wanda. Oh no.
Oh, now it looks like we're connected again. It's still recording, thankfully. Yeah,
Oh,
that is so weird. Like
why?
hotel Wi-Fi sucks, as everyone knows. But yeah, like it was
Yeah, it
definitely an
does.
entertaining episode. I get it. Like people are kind of wanting to go back to that, but I feel like we needed this episode to kind of give an idea of what's going on and to give an outsider perspective of what's going on with Wanda. And as the episode reveals towards the end, we actually see what happened specifically to Monica and how Wanda got really violent with her and basically kicked her out of her world, kicked her out of Westview, kicked her out of the show, fired her from her show, essentially.
Yeah,
And
I'm surprised she has. I'm wondering if she's gonna kill anybody, or is like
yeah, like
I'm surprised
I feel
she
like
just, you know what I mean? Like I'm just waiting for her to snap completely and like kill somebody or like I don't know, do something really fucked up. Pardon my
probably
French.
it's all good, man. I feel like they're building Wanda up to be a big threat within the MCU,
Yeah.
and I feel like that whatever she turns out to be towards the end of this series, she's probably going to be the biggest threat she's ever been so far,
Mm-hmm.
and will probably cause some really big damage to the continuity of their universe and like the state of it, as we're going to
Yeah.
see obviously with Doctor Strange and Spider-Man 3. So, yeah, like when we go back to Monica, the moment after she crash lands essentially back to the base, she reveals to them that it's all Wanda. So this must mean that the whole thing that's going on, this is just everything that she created. She created this whole thing. And also worth noting, when they were looking at all the other cast members of WandaVision, they found all the right identities for each of the characters. But
Yeah.
apparently there was one character that wasn't um, mentioned as part of the cast yet, like
Yep.
when they were listing them all up. It was Catherine Hahn's character,
Yep.
which what does this mean? What do you think this signifies, John? What
Well,
are your predictions regarding her character?
from the people I follow, I feel like I don't know if it's like a given or if it's something that they're making like a red herring. But apparently, people think that she's playing this character Agatha, who has this deep connection to Wanda in the comics, and she
Hmm.
might either be the one who set up this world with Wanda, and she's manipulating Wanda to do all this for like a higher purpose or like something more superficial on her side, or she's somebody who got involved purposely because Wanda seeked her out. Maybe like she's somebody from Wanda's past who she thought could help. Um, it's like kind of like a something kind of like a therapist of sorts.
Hmm.
But I don't know. I think apparently she's a villain, but I can't tell. I'm still having a hard time piecing that together. But I think there is something otherworldly and nefarious happening there with Catherine Hahn because I think I
Indeed.
could totally see her being really malicious. And I kind of want to see that
Sinister.
too. Mm-hmm.
I could see her being sinister, especially because I remembered in one of the trailers they released for the show, there was that moment, and probably we're going to see this in a later episode, where Vision is walking out in the neighborhood and he runs into Catherine Hahn in the car, and she
Yeah.
says, "You're dead." Which brings us to another element of the episode where we're back in the 1970s episode. And
Oof.
for a moment,
Oof.
Wanda sees Vision, and we see Vision dead. The dead Vision that we saw at the end of Infinity War. And that was a well done horror moment, really, because,
That was terrifying
man,
in the moment.
like we don't talk about enough how painful Wanda's life has been in the MCU. I mean, she lost her twin brother to Ultron. And not only did she have to witness the love of her life die, she had to witness him die twice.
Twice. Yeah.
That's like at Zombieland, it's like that's the double shot. Like that's the
The double
double
shot.
tap. The double tap. Yeah.
Double
And
tap.
it's like really, you had to go that far. It's not enough that she had to kill him, but the fact that her killing him initially was already bad enough, but because of the time stone, it just made it like her sacrifice and his sacrifice pointless in the end. And man, the way they used his gray look with the stone removed from his forehead was just
The
brutal.
contrast was perfect to make like a very unsettling image. Definitely gave some kids nightmares who watched this
Oh,
show.
definitely. All the kids who are watching on Disney Plus at midnight because
Ooh-wee.
a lot of people are waiting, like at least I did for a lot of the Disney Plus shows. I haven't been lately with WandaVision because I obviously don't. I'm at the hotel room right now, and I prefer to watch it on a bigger TV than I do on
Yeah.
a phone or a laptop. But I
Mhm.
was able to see it, and I've seen the episode twice. I've seen every episode twice actually, and I'm loving the show so far. I am so psyched for what is probably going to be a 1980s themed episode.
Yeah, this is the first time I'm actually excited. Like I'm eager to watch the next episode. This is the
Oh
first time like
yes,
I need to watch it now.
yeah, especially with how it reveals, like we know what's going on now. We have an
Yeah.
idea. There's still some details that are hazy, obviously, in regards to why it's a sitcom and all these things. Part of me thinks that Wanda probably, after the events of Endgame, just kind of closed herself off, and then she just started watching a bunch of sitcoms, and
Yeah,
maybe that inspired her a bit. Maybe she was just binge watching, and she just got inspired
like
to
the
have
rest of
like her own
us.
little life.
Yeah.
You
I can
know,
definitely see that.
but I'm curious, like, what if, let's say, the characters that we meet, like Jimmy Woo, and Darcy, like what if they find their way into Wanda's world and become like neighbors to her?
I wonder if she would catch on if they did.
She
I mean, they'd
might,
have to. It
you
would be a
know,
fun scenario, I think. But I wonder if they cross into that, or if they stay with Sword and monitor
that's
from the outside.
possible. That's possible. There could be a thing. Maybe Monica is the one that helps take care of it from the other side now, since she knows what's really going on, and now they could actually maneuver through.
Hmm.
So, but overall, we'll find out. There are 5 more episodes left. Wow, we're at like five more because there's 9 episodes of
Yeah,
this show.
just about kind of halfway there, give or take.
Yeah, and even though this is a TV show, the budget for MCU still feels big with here. This feels like a movie, even though, well, this episode in particular feels straight out of the movies. Whereas
Yeah.
obviously the sitcom stuff feels perfect for the television format, and
Hmm.
I'm really excited to see what's coming up. And obviously you do too, John. Overall,
Absolutely.
we're pretty stoked for where WandaVision is headed next. And I hope you enjoyed our discussion on these last 2 episodes. We will be returning to discuss more in the weeks to come. First off, John, thank you so much for joining again. Obviously, Wanda has kind of screwed up with our internet connection here. Hopefully, with our next episode, we're going to have a better internet connection that's not as shoddy.
Hope so too. And we're talking positively about the show. I don't know why she's annoyed at us that she keeps freezing
Yeah,
us, but no hard feelings.
indeed.
We still love
No
you.
hard feelings, Wanda. Please don't kill us. We were on your side this whole time. Please don't
Yeah, we
kill
are.
us. But where can people find you, John?
Everybody can find me on pretty much any social media platform at MaffmanJones, and on YouTube at MaffmanJones. And I have nothing really cooked up in the kitchen right now, but I am writing ingredients down. Hopefully, there's some content coming in the spring after my apartment move is done, and I could just think and get thoughts out there. 'Cause there are things I want to talk about for 2021 for sure.
Indeed. Yeah, and that's John. And in regards to this, you could obviously follow the Blank Green Canvas podcast through Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and many others. You could also find us on YouTube, which the video portion of this podcast will likely be on. And speaking of YouTube, on Blank Green Canvas, my channel, I recently just posted a new video, my first in a while, discussing the first 11 films from Pixar Animation Studios. I'm really proud of the video that I put out, and I'm working on part 2 as we speak, which should be coming within the coming week. And
Yeah.
I hope you guys get a chance to check that video out because I really enjoyed putting it together. I really needed to put something together this week because I couldn't be despondent after my incident. So I need to get some work done. And I'm so happy I got that work done. And I'm looking forward to doing part 2. Once again, thank you everybody for your support and for checking out our content. And if you wanted to see more from us, continue following us on Anchor, Spotify, and all the other podcasts. And of course, you could also subscribe to our YouTube channels. Mine is a Blank Green Canvas, and obviously John Maffeo here is MaffmanJones. You can follow us on social media there. And until next time, I am Noah of Blank Green Canvas, and this is John Maffeo of MaffmanJones. And we will see you in the next episode as we continue to cover WandaVision. Thank
Oh
you and
yeah.
goodbye.
Bye bye, everybody.
Peace.